Hello, welcome everybody to episode 3 of the Freedom Blueprint podcast. If you don't know who I am, my name is Sam Hidja, and I'm really excited to be here. It's been a while. I think it's been a couple of weeks. Been dealing with some, I like to say, character building moments, which I'll share with you here tonight. And, uh, maybe you're going through something as well, and maybe this can help guide and shed some light on what you're going through, and hopefully give you the motivation and the inspiration to tackle whatever it is that you're going through. So it is really interesting because a lot of the times, especially as an entrepreneur, you're really given certain circumstances and it's really up to you, right? There's this quote, it's if it's meant to be, it's up to me. And is in personal development, it's really well known. And so we have this habit of trying to control everything. Like, I have to do everything to make sure that I get this result at a certain time, right? And like, even some of the new age gurus and thinkers are like, you need to have a certain date on when you want to get this goal done. And you don't really give time for God's timing if you believe in God, right? Whatever that God is, right? So I've had some really interesting moments the last couple of weeks that have really shown me the power of the quote, letting go and let God. And so I like to share those with you. The first is actually really interesting because I'm actually sitting here with my friend Dawood. And so it's I think maybe a week ago, I was like looking into, the meaning of a certain phrase in the Muslim religion. And so it basically was saying there is no one worthy of worship but God, and there's nothing but God, meaning everything that we see is an illusion. Everything, this you watching me, looking at your computer or your phone, or if you're in your house or wherever you are, it's really just a fragment of the full picture, the totality, which is God. Everything is only here because of the source. And so I had sent that to him, and he was like, man, I was just thinking about that. And then he ends up sending me like what we call God in Arabic, but it's really more like remembrance, and it's more like almost like a meditation. And so he told me, he's like, hey, like one of my buddies told me about this, and he said that when he does this, it opens up his wealth, and like it's not just money, it's also like just in general bounty and abundance and blessings. And so I said, you know what, let me try that. But the crazy thing is before he even texted me that, I was actually already thinking and I was asking for that. I was wondering like, what is I don't remember exactly what it was. It's like, but I want to do this remembrance. And so he sent that to me as soon as I asked. Interesting what happened next is that even before finishing I would say like a meditation, I literally get a client giving me money at 2 a.m. So I'm like, okay, wow, that is just like, wow, I can't make that up. I couldn't have planned that any better. And so I shared that with him, and what happens is I started to do this every single night for a few nights. And during those days I was actually dealing with something, because last year I had been in 39 countries. We were all in the Middle East, in Asia, East Asia, Southeast Asia, in Central America, and South America, just all over. And my passport got damaged. And so it had been a bit of a difficulty because I had a business trip in El Salvador, Costa Rica, and Panama. I had to get some stuff done, some banking stuff done. And so I ended up going to the airport one day, and ticket was booked, Airbnb was booked, everything was booked. Get to the airport to try to scan my passport. It doesn't work. and they're like, oh, well, you can't make your flight. So fast forward, I end up shipping off my passport and get it renewed. I paid the whatever, I forget how much it was, a couple $100. I got the passport card, I got the passport. I end up getting a letter in the mail saying, hey, like, your passport's damaged, you cannot renew your passport. So I'm like, wow, okay. All right. So they're like, you need to, do it in person. You need to go to the passport office in person, take your documents, and get it renewed. I wasn't born in the United States. I was born in Jordan. So a lot of my documentation is in Jordan. I got naturalized at a young age because of my mom. And so what I realized is I didn't have a lot of the documentation. I'm talking my social security is in the Philippines. My birth certificate is in Jordan. And I had some other documents in Dubai. So it was like kind of a headache. And it would have been at least 6 months until I got my passport. So just stick with me here. Now, what ends up happening is I get really stressed out for a moment. I'm like, okay, well, now what's going to happen is I'm going to have to go on a wild goose hunt, try to find these documents, and then try to, apply and, use secondary identification, and then finally get my passport. So long story short, I do this meditation, and the very next morning I wake up to a voicemail saying, oh, well, we actually approved your application. Your passport will be sent out. And this is after they already told me, like, I got called and I asked, and after, so much effort and trying, they randomly just tell me that my passport gets approved, and I actually got it yesterday. So the point is to let go and let God, and whatever you believe in, if you're Muslim or Christian or whatever, having this, doing everything that is in your hand, being able to do everything possible, right? Do everything that you can possibly do, and then if there's nothing else that you can do, give it up and just realize that it's going to work out, exactly when it needs to. I'm a big believer, and not even a believer, I'd say a knower, that I am lucky. Like, I literally know that, and things like this happen all the time. And so my question to you, are you lucky? Do you think that you're lucky? Do you think that God has got your back? So, it's really interesting whenever you are able to just really give it up, what happens and how you align with the right opportunities and the right people. And so, this is the Freedom Blueprint podcast. And if you haven't read this book, I wrote my first book after 2 years of writing. I published it in April, and it's called The Freedom Blueprint. And so the Freedom Blueprint essentially is like the map. Okay, it's the map on how I was personally able to overcome crazy situations, whether it was going through a divorce, landing myself in an international jail in Bali, almost getting the death penalty, literally. Had to pay $50,000 just to get out, got black magic put on me, ended up in the hospital, all within a month, to actually shifting everything, getting to the root cause and understanding that I created it all, just like you are creating every single thing in your life, whether you like it or not. I created it all, and shifting it and moving into complete liberation internally, being able to travel to 39 countries, and was working like maybe 10 hours a week, less. And then made like over $500,000 without really working. It was just kind of more just being there and allowing the abundance to come through. So this is the map. And then a couple of weeks after writing this book, I got the download and I wrote this book. It's called The Genius Blueprint. So this is more like the compass. And so by having the map, every single person is going to have their own path on where they're headed. It's all the same direction. We all want to be fulfilled, to be happy and safe and have love and have all of these things, right? Whether it's our finances, our emotional well-being, our health, loved ones, we all want those same things. But how we get there looks a lot different. And so what I received was that how to actually uncover your genius. So this is the Genius Blueprint, the compass. And I want to read something to you really quick. So this is the prologue. So the moment you forgot was the moment you were marked. You came here encoded, not to chase a life, but to build one from memory, to awaken dormant frequencies, to remember patterns older than your name. Long before you read this, before the jobs you hated, before the roles you played, before the versions of you that fit in just to survive, you knew how you were designed to move, to create, to collapse, to rebirth, to lead. But somewhere between your knowing and your needing, your genius got buried under what the world calls normal. And so you forgot. You didn't lose yourself. You actually outgrew the version of you that could forget. Because this moment right now is a return, not to an identity, but to a rhythm, a divine code hidden beneath your decisions, your self-sabotage, your ambition, and your collapse. Genius isn't something you acquire. It's something you remember when the lies fall away. This book is not about becoming someone new. It's about reactivating what you buried all along. The sacred contract. If you're holding this book, you didn't find it. Your genius called it in because you are ready. Not for more hacks, not for another strategy you'll abandon by Thursday, not to be fixed, but to be mirrored. This isn't a manual, it's a map, a permission slip. It's a blueprint for the system you've always known was there, even when no one else could see it. This is a sacred agreement between your soul and your structure. To stop outsourcing your alignment, to stop contorting to models not made for you, to stop sacrificing your power on the altar of should. You don't need to do more. You need to operate differently. And there are 8 frequencies of genius. And this is not random, it's precise. This is going to explain why certain rooms drain you, why certain tasks break your nervous system, why certain patterns keep circling back until you decode them, and why you don't need to be everything. You need to be exactly what you were designed to be. When you know your genius, everything calibrates: your vision, your business, your team, your boundaries, your energy, and your voice, and most importantly, your pace. The Genius Blueprint is here to help you really get into the natural frequency that you were designed when you first came here. Okay, so it's not something that you need, it's not personal development where you need to become someone new. It's actually understanding who you are, what you came to do, what comes naturally to you, and then aligning yourself with an offer and the right team that helps you have more leverage so you can allow the floodgates of abundance to come to you. And so this is how it all ties in with my previous message, is that you don't need to know how to do everything. There's no need for control. There is an element of letting go and trusting. When you're able to trust other people to play their role in your ecosystem, you're saying, I trust God enough to allow the people to do what they need to do so the abundance can come to me. And so if this resonates with you, in the comment section below, comment the word genius, and I'll send you a free personalized genius test that will help you understand your primary genius, your secondary genius, and your supporting genius, plus a hiring guide to help you understand who you need next on your team. So when you align yourself with your genius, essentially what's happening is you're floating into your natural frequency. And so on this chart right here, or on this video, I'm going to have a chart of the Dr. Hawkins scale of consciousness. As you could tell, there are different frequencies. So it actually goes from 0 to 1,000. At the very bottom of the chart is, shame and guilt, like 20, 30 out of 1,000. You see fear at 100. Pride is at 200. Love is at 500, and enlightenment is at 700 to 1,000 consciousness. So every single emotion is actually vibrating at a certain frequency. Even different substances operate at a different frequency. So that's why they call alcohol liquid courage. Why? Because it actually operates at the level 200, which is courage. So that's why a lot of people become alcoholics, because they're not being who they truly are. They're suppressing who they truly are, and something that feels better for them. Maybe they're in fear to be who they truly are. They're in fear, which is a level 100, and they drink alcohol because it brings them into courage, which feels a lot better. And my hypothesis is the reason why addiction is so prevalent is because we are not in alignment with who we truly are. Now, this is where the genius test comes into play. When you are operating with who you truly are, you just operate in your natural frequency, which, here's the kicker. I want you to listen up. Your natural frequency, guess where it is on this chart? It's enlightenment. That is who you truly are. When you came here as a baby, you didn't have any of the baggage that you have now. You didn't have any of the perceptions around reality, and you could be exactly who you were. So essentially, your genius has always been within you. It is that childlike innocence and curiosity and creativity who you've always been. So if you're looking to live life in effortless flow, to unlock your genius, and to finally step into who you've always been, like I said, comment the word genius. And I appreciate you for taking the time to listen to this message and to interact. And we'll see you next time on the Freedom Blueprint.